I am a part of Joint Task Force Southern Border, supporting the mission through disciplined operations and constant awareness. We assess what's in front of us, identify anything out of place, and communicate freely. That means staying alert, patrolling, and checking critical areas along the barrier. We move across miles of terrain on foot while launching drones to increase our monitoring capabilities. Whether it's ground patrols or aerial support, everything we do is about expanding awareness. Every patrol, every check, every launch contributes to the bigger picture, protecting the integrity of the United States. Joint Task Force, Southern Border. Marines committed to the task.
Before there was Naco, before there was El Centro, there was Yuma. In November 2025, Marines with Combat Logistics Battalion 15 quietly set a record. Working alongside U.S. Customs and Border Protection, they emplaced the largest delivery of concertina wire in the history of the U.S. southern border. Not a single dramatic strike, not a single headline event, just miles of wire, unspooled and layered by hand, coil after coil, across the desert floor. Think about what that actually means logistically. Concertina wire doesn't arrive pre-assembled. It comes in tightly wound coils that have to be trucked in, staged along the barrier line, then physically stretched, layered, and anchored, section by section, in temperatures that regularly climb past 100 degrees Fahrenheit in this stretch of the Sonoran Desert. There's no shortcut to this kind of work. Every coil has to be handled by someone. Every layer has to be checked for gaps and multiplied across miles of fence line that adds up to thousands of individual actions that never show up in a headline, but collectively become the largest reinforcement effort of its kind in the history of the southern border. This is what hardening a border actually looks like on the ground, less like a wall going up overnight, and more like thousands of small repeated actions, each one adding a few more feet of resistance to anyone trying to cross undetected. It's the kind of work that doesn't make the news. But 7 months later, 300 miles away, it becomes the foundation everything after it is built on. Seven months later, and 300 miles east, that same foundation is being extended. In Naco, Arizona, Marines with the 8th Engineer Support Battalion move heavy equipment along the barrier line, adding fresh layers of wire to sections of fence that have stood for years. This isn't new construction, it's maintenance. The unglamorous work of keeping an existing barrier as hard to defeat today as it was the day it went up. Weather, sun exposure, and simple mechanical wear all take a toll on a structure that's expected to hold its line for years, sometimes decades. Wire loosens, sections sag, points that were once dense with C-wire thin out over time. So engineers come back not because something failed, but because nothing has failed yet, and the goal is to keep it that way. It's a very different kind of operation than the record-setting emplacement at Yuma. There, the story was scale. Miles of new wire, a historic first. Here the story is persistence, the same few hundred meters of fence, revisited, inspected, and reinforced, long after the cameras and headlines from the original construction have moved on. Because a border barrier isn't a single object you build once. It's a system that has to be checked, repaired, and reinforced, point by point, indefinitely, for as long as the mission requires it.
It's not that much wider than the normal route, but
But wire isn't the only thing that needs attention.
Okay. As long as your
2
guys
weeks
are
later,
tracking,
in the
you know.
same stretch of desert, the focus narrows to something much smaller and much easier to overlook.
And
A lock.
another,
One of
another
dozens
hindrance
built
that
into the
keeps us from
floodgates
being able
along
to-
the
They were
barrier,
able to
the
cut
sections
through,
designed to open
load
during
up to
flash
the
floods
sides,
so stormwater can
put
pass
these
through
on,
without damaging the
like, at an
fence
angle like
itself.
this, weld those
Out
onto
here in
it.
the Sonoran Desert, rain doesn't come often, but when it does, it comes suddenly and violently. Flash floods that can move enormous volumes of water through dry riverbeds in minutes. A solid, unbroken barrier in the path of that water wouldn't just get damaged, it could fail entirely, taking out sections of fence far beyond the flood channel itself. So engineers built floodgates directly into the barrier, deliberate openings, built to swing wide and let the water through. But that design creates a trade-off. Anything built to open is also something that can be forced open. A hinge, a gate, a lock, every one of those is a potential point of failure. A place where the barrier's strength depends entirely on a single mechanism holding it. So Marines go through this process methodically, lock by lock, gate by gate, tightening hardware, checking for wear, reinforcing housing, hardening each mechanism against cutting and tampering. It's slow, repetitive, unglamorous work. There's no dramatic footage of a breach being stopped in real time. Just a Marine, a toolkit, and one lock after another. It's a detail most people crossing this stretch of border would never notice, which is exactly why it matters. Three weeks after that, a different unit arrives at the same gates. Combat Logistics Battalion 7, continuing the same work. Different Marines, same locks, same coordinates on a map. Look closely and you'll notice this isn't a coincidence or a duplicate assignment. It's a rotation. Units cycle in, complete a pass of inspections and reinforcements, then hand the responsibility off to whichever battalion is tasked next, sometimes weeks later, sometimes months. The personnel change, the equipment sometimes changes, but the objective at this specific point on the map does not. It's a small detail, but it says something bigger about how this operation actually runs. This was never framed as a single visit to fix a problem once and move on. It's a standing commitment. A rotation of units cycling through the same points on the border again and again for as long as the mission requires. The line on the map doesn't move. The Marines assigned to it do, but the work itself never really stops.
by making each Marine and more Marines more capable of doing the job outside their MOS. So we have like mechanics, operators, combat engineers, pretty much anyone. Like we've trained docs. Training that took place is vital and important to the mission because each Marine is more capable of doing the entire mission, not just their specific job here at the barrier. It allows Marines to work in different capacities and allows us to complete the mission at a much faster and rapid pace. So the President's #1 mission is the security of the southern border. So us being out here today allows us to keep Americans safe for the future. The biggest thing I want my Marines to take away from this deployment is the fact that we are on our own territory and we are working in our backyard. Our mission directly impacts the safety and future safety of American citizens all over the continental United States.